Any poet, prophet that prospers through purposed profits procured primarily plundering poor people, pitching peace through monetary happiness, forfeits their credibility, more than likely their salvation. True words are spoken as a token of your heart. Once spoken marks the start of a spark of fire causing light, but never shadow. The end, the end is dear, whether near or only something we can see distantly in the future. I'm thinking it's distantly in the future, but that's not a dog I want my fight. That's not a dog I want my fight in. How is that part of a thing? If Zach Macanudo, you better know it. You better start shooting some threes, man. I could show you the odds that shooting the threes is the only way to win basketball games. Welcome, everybody, to Mud Flood was Armageddon. That's right. The Mud Flood was the Armageddon. Do not let them tell you anything else unless they are willing to debate you in a fair and honest way. I know, I'm wearing my comfy t shirt. Find X. Isn't that funny? There it is. It's five, otherwise, you wouldn't have a right angle. Quickly, the disclaimerage. You disclaimed it. We're playing by the rules around here, man. As always, I think I'm sharing. I got not much to share here. I was looking at some old pictures today. Yep. Ooh, man. So I did download some things. Here's something. Oh, we're going to be looking at poison was a common killer at this time. Queen Catherine murdered Al, it was a rumor that Queen Catherine had murdered Albert, but they found out later she didn't, even though poison was a common killer in France at that time. And the rise of the French school of poisoners is said to conservatively have inspired as many as 30,000 poisoners. Catherine's image as a sorceress, as well as her access to skilled specialists in the fields of science, prompted many of her adversaries to allege, well, we're going to get to the bottom of who she is really. These guys, they built a mud flood tunnel in 1952 to provide free subway to their department store in Fort Worth, Texas, because traffic was getting so bad. Thanks. Isn't his name Josh Seacrest or something like that? Leonard had a department store and they made a tunnel. Yay. I think I cut that from the show, but you got to see the pictures. Here, Oxford's Institute of Cognitive and Evolutionary Anthropology, part of his anthropological school, analyzed 60 societies. They came up, big vocabulary, 60 societies, 600,000 words. It's a sexamadazzle system of math, 600 sources discovered 7 universal moral rules. Help your family, help your group, return favors, be brave, defer to superiors, divide resources fairly, and respect others' properties. And another way of saying everything you need to know you should have learned in kindergarten. Huh. Seems like 24-year-old article. This one pope that everybody loved. He said, no, I am not going to apologize that the Vatican encouraged castration of choir boys because they love art and they love to mutilate little boys for hundreds of years, have prompted calls for a papal apology. He told them, forget it, man. They needed them there since 1959, and some say even longer, because they would say he wasn't castrated. He bumped into the door and his balls fell off. I kid you not. Hey, I had to have a thumbnail, so this was part of it. This is part of your normal thing. Now he's supposed to be a normal man. It's like looking in the mirror when I was about 20 years ago. Hey, look, she's a late rainbow bloomer. A late rainbow bloomer. That means, she had one of these hang-ups. They probably didn't feel normal for a while. Homosexuality is a romantic attraction, sexual behavior, sexual orientation. I wanted you to see that there's 6 footnotes in the first 2 paragraphs. Let's go back. Okay, sexual repression. That's what this Wikipedia article is. Here's the first 2 paragraphs. Talks about how they understand, we got to stop sexual repression about homosexuality, sexual orientation, repression, guilt, shame, peer pressure, internalized homophobia. 0. There aren't any, footnotes, say, here, look it up. We've proved it scientifically, you cisgender assigned whatever you are. Some people criticize conversion therapy, and they're the ones that had it done to them when they were 14 years old. They couldn't vote, couldn't get a tattoo. They couldn't do a lot of things. The creation of a mass movement. There is a Wikipedia page called Mass Movement. In case I forget, I wanted to make sure I hit that it includes the ideologies of communism, fascism, and liberalism. Both communist and fascist typically support the creation of mass movements as a means to overthrow the government. Hey, thanks for another one with the first 2 paragraphs at least, citing Sigmund Freud and others without a footnote. And that's Wikipedia's claim to their infamy. I mean, their fame. They're the world's dictionary. How many languages is that in? Oh, I'm not on the Wikipedia. I'm still doing the pictures. While not applying to Japanese practices, the term has been found useful to describe actions by the International Monetary Fund aimed at introducing privatization and austerity. Right back to these crises. Why do they always have to have crises after crises after crises?
The prayer of a righteous person has great power as it is working. And Romans chapter 10 verse 17 says, faith comes by hearing, and hearing by the word of God. Just as thunder follows lightning, prayer follows divine charge. Words align us with God's resonance. Even Jesus taught that faith-filled speech carries tangible power. Mark chapter 11 verse 23 says, whoever says,
I think this is a robot. Deep dives with Brandon. I'm not sure if if he's using some AI assist, it sounds like it, but the fact that you are a battery operated Mobius strip and a Lima spinning into infinity, and it's coming out, it's coming out. Now, I'm going to save a lot of this Bible study for, what is holy. We're going to get into, is it reasonable to think that Jude and angels are what are they talking about? All right. We'll warm you up with this verse 25. And in the same way was not Rahab the prostitute justified by works when she received the messengers and sent them out another way? Did Joshua send those spies into the land to spy it out? Were they heavenly angels, or could the book of Jude and those things be talking about those angels gave themselves over? There isn't, without the book of Enoch, it is so stupid. And there is enough mystery in the regular Bible to last a lifetime of study, but it's being left alone. This word, did I pull it up here? I did. Messengers, probably have an interlinear here. No, I didn't. I had that from this morning, but it's never in angels. Behold, the angel of the Lord, the angel of the Lord. These are angels. He will command his angels. Behold his angels. He sent forth angels coming forth at the end of the age, separate the wheat and the tare. Oh, this is Greek. I'm not going to find it, but there are times when this is where, from the verse where it says entertained angels unaware. Right. Okay. So I wasn't looking for it in Greek, but this is proving that Rahab wasn't visited. She was visited by men. Men. And that's when the Most High separated Adam, sons, the Most High. I mean, the sermon this morning tied in with today is enough. I mean, the Magi era, late 1800s, middle, late, all of a sudden you're forced to open your borders, and within weeks.
Exactly how those exercises were performed for the development of mind, body, and spirit by examining some extremely obscure historical sources, some of which have never before been discussed in English or even in the West at all prior to today. These European exercises first appeared in Japan during the transformative Meiji era, the late 1800s, when, following the forced opening of Japanese ports by American naval forces, a sort of civil war commenced over the cultural soul of Japan.
Wow.
The traditionalists, loyal to the ancient ways, and the modernists who sought to westernize the country, a conflict which has in recent decades become fertile ground for Hollywood filmmakers, independent Japanese cinema, and
Yeah. What are you talking about, man? Keep it up with those weird drawings, not the anime. Japanese had its own indigenous form of gymnastics. It looks, pretty rudimentary. Have fun, children.
form of gymnastics. However, as early as 1872, only 4 years following the Meiji Restoration, treatises on Western exercise began appearing in Japan, published and translated into Japanese. Nearly all of these early texts were based on the methods and techniques of the German Turner School of Physical Culture.
German Turner School.
Founded in 1811 by militant revolutionary Friedrich Ludwig Jahn, the Turner movement created a new approach to physical fitness, utilizing the use of calisthenics.
So how did they make it? I mean, they didn't have sugar in their diet yet because the Seventh-day Adventist evil queen, what's her name there, that girl? Anyway, she's bad. And she got those Kellogg brothers to make Post Toasties and then Kellogg's and start putting sugar in our diet. And all their hospitals allow abortion, Adventists. Ellen White, yep, fake.
Calisthenics, light dumbbells, staves, and heavy clubs, as well as emphasizing the cultivation of mind, body, and spirit.
Way to go, German movement. As long as it was quasi-Christian is what it looked like, but everybody in the world was doing it?
Germany. Several additional European fitness tools were brought into Leland's system. A Japanese study done at the time claimed that training with
I think they were Jesuits training them, but I want to show you some polished woodwork. Nice, huh?
small, ornate, and made of hard wood. They were not used to cultivate strength through heavy lifting. Instead, as one Japanese author wrote, quote, "The primary focus is on agile movements."
Open hand. Everybody should learn how to protect themselves and not kill the person.
Evidence that Ozawa's native-inspired system was ever adopted on a wide scale. From 1900 to 1901,
That's enough. We got the era down, right? To remind you, we're looking at from 1868 to the 1912. That's when Japan was fully invested and we got battleships. And oh, you want to play who's number one? Let's take over the world. How about we attack Russia? China. We'll take them over, baby. By 1930s, they were full on saying, we like it. We like what you're selling because we needed more land and that whole, open land, breathing room for a country should be legal. They were into it, man. That's pretty young to rule a new thing, a new country. Forced to open their borders, embrace it in full. Huh. Look at that. Just turned around and invaded Taiwan. Yeah, we get it. You guys are good. Let's get Korea in 75. Let's go get the Sino, wherever that is. Then let's go back and get some more of Taiwan. Oh, that's not them. They didn't do that. When would they take over Russia? Anyway, Japan kicked Russia's butt back then. Here he is. We'll look at it. There can't be that many. Hey, you look older than 14 to me, man. Oh my goodness. Say what? The morning toilet caused a stir. I wonder why. Does this no pants make my butt look big? Huh, look what they found. They were just welcomed in as white. That's what they said in England when they asked him to join the Order of the Garter, highest level of whiteness. You think they set him up? Man, I wouldn't want to be set up and then have them still grow in power. So the Turners were these German American Roman Catholics that went around saying we got to work out. And the world said, okay. Generally, they were liberal and had taken, part in previous revolutions of 1848. We'll look at some of those yahoos. You can see I clicked it. Thought it was worth hanging on to. We'll look at here's some of these guys that aren't gay. but they could sell a lot of equipment and you could buy it or they'd give it to you because they only wanted access to your children. Train some, cook and eat the others. That's their standard operating. 3,000 in Milwaukee in 1893. It was a worldwide phenomenon. Hey, look at here's some St. Louis Turners. Having a little wine, a little cheese, a little music. Not too much else. No dancing. They got some drummers going on. Here's one guy. This can't stop swinging around on a pole. Young man, run for your life. Run. Don't walk. Get away from these guys. They're looking very comfy. Ooh, these guys look very comfy. What a workout, huh, guys? Have you ever heard of wrestling or something? I guess martial arts. Did they do martial arts? It was big in Wisconsin. That's the Turnberserks. The Golden Jubileans. More Golden Jubileans from the Madison chapter. The senior group. You should stay in shape. You should eat good. Everybody could be that healthy without the GMOs in it. Big workout thing. Starting when? Physical culture was a big deal. You should be healthy and strong. In the 1800s, there were several trends, starting when the people that, fomented revolution in 1848 came over here looking for a loan because it really didn't work for another 20, 30 years over there. Just running around here. I got a couple things going on here. Dumbbells, wands, wrestling, the Turners, the battle of the system, the physical culture. Everybody, there's no doubt you should stay in shape. Look, women do it. Who's going to argue with that? Only 2 pictures for these? That hardly seems like it. Hey. That's way out in the middle of nowhere. They had a historic mansion featured a basement with the rare Turnavarian Gymnastics Club. Way to hang, dude. You had the money, you bought it, you kept it. So the 48ers participated and supported the revolutions. Like the Arab Spring and things like that, except these were 1848, that looked like Edgar Allan Poe. He did it. They wanted human rights. It seems like Labor Day type stuff. Everybody got in on it. Brazil, Chile, the United States. Working out, the 48ers spread out, and they took their workout with them. Huh. Protesting. A lot of Protestants around there, I'm telling you that, back in the day. So here it looks like a lot of them, architects and engineers, German 48ers, Pfizer, founded a chemical company. What did this guy do? Numerous schools. First president of the Engineers Club. So a lot of famous people it would look like, and that was just the top line. You see any more names? That's a very, in Reformed circles, a lot of scholars named that. Anyway, these guys did it. They were all white guys that said, this is how you do it. Marguerite founded the first kindergarten, a German language kindergarten in Watertown, Wisconsin. Well, how about that? Hungarian 48ers, Irish 48ers, French, Polish, German, Austrian. There was another movement that wasn't the physical culture or the Turnerism. Literally, it means falcon movement. Sokol, an all ages gymnastic organization founded in Prague in Czech lands. That's Austria-Hungary. But hey, that's right when they were telling Japan, you talk about be careful what you ask for. You're coming out. You're going to help us in our markets, Japan. Okay, we'll be kicking your ass in no time. And unless you gang up on us, there will be no stopping them. So they ganged up on them. Sokol, the Falcons, a younger group, probably had an older group. Had women in this one. Massive turnouts. People wanted to stay in shape before they wanted us to start pushing buttons, jumping over a horse like it is the vault. Boy, these guys are just wait and, you know, I wonder if you're going to be in those people that got killed by the other white people that thought you had too much room. They were in shape. They're still doing it, making it work. So that's part of it. What is a political movement? Collective attempt by a group to change governments and or social values. They love the status quo. They are usually opposed to the status quo. Wow. What is the rescue mobilization theory? Process of getting resources from the resource provider using different mechanisms. Kind of like that when the United States said, well, yeah, we'll give you some money, but you've got to set aside so much for promoting transsexual plays or movies. Okay, we'll do it. Give us the money or we'll starve. So that's part of it. There are political movements. There always have been worldwide, freedom-seeking people. This is Labor Day. This is one of those things. Also political movements, you know, about the far right, far left. Who is right about the climate and everything else? Pro-war, anti-war, save the whales, but we need to make cheap pencils, you know. These things get talked about. Nothing is ever done. We had the one drop rule because people believed it was white people's manifest destiny to displace the natives, the blacks, the Mexicans, and anybody else because they were going to make this a one drop rule country because they wanted to have sex with white slaves. And they did. They did. One drop. And she's black. She looks white. She's mine. She's 14. Who are you? That's the way their conversations went. Mass movements denotes a political party or movement which is supported by large segments of the population. Typically advocate the creation of a mass movement, include ideologies of communism, fascism, and liberalism. They may use elements of a charismatic leadership, active minorities, cults, sex, alienation, brainwashing, indoctrination, authoritarianism, and totalitarianism much. The field emerged from crowd or mass psychology. Okay, well, there you go. Where'd the Turner exercise and be smarter and stronger, better workers. Where'd that fit in? Was that part of it? So religious sexual repression, the history, Sigmund Freud, the first to use that term, that's what we're studying here. Moral systems. People are supposed to have them. They used to have them. But sexual repression is enforced through legislation in certain countries, like saying, you know what? Women, you got to get circumcised too. We got to repress people that want to marry people of the same sex and punish honor killings, like the regular death sentence for murder is not enough. Murder's murder. You murder somebody because you think your wife was fooling around on you, or your daughter had sex before marriage, whatever your sick, twisted reason would be. There's already a law. Nobody's thinking, hey, that's cool. We should pass a law against murder. Wake up and smell the coffee, man. This is a setup. Leonardo da Vinci repressed homosexual because of some periods, Indian history, they took things that, look, I don't want an aphrodisiac. I want an anaphrodisiac. I want a lower libido. I got work to do. I got a family to feed or something. Most forms of Christianity read in the Bible that homosexual behavior is an abomination that needs to be repented of. And all Bibles say that. Some wolves in sheep clothing would tell you the Bible's not true. What it really meant was women should be gay pastors or this has always been the law until recently. Everybody believed that, there was no and we elect, where's the old historical setting that, and we had a gay king that led us into battle and we all loved him and we didn't care if he didn't have a son to pass it on to because whatever. I think that the sexual repression, like I said in the things, there's a lot of things, so they're not citing it. Homosexual sexual expression is a sensitive topic. As of 2014, same-sex sexual acts are punishable by prison in 70 countries. Let's see what the homophobia is. Internalized homophobia. Negative attitudes and feelings are perceived as being people who identify that. It encompasses a range of the negative attitudes, has been defined as contempt, prejudice, aversion, hatred, antipathy, may be based on an irrational fear and may sometimes be attributed to religious beliefs. Homophobia is observable in critical and hostile behaviors such as discrimination and violence on the basis of whether or not you do things the Bible considers abominations, not good for society, not good for the children to know or hear about. Something that you should tell them, watch out. It's crazy. And they always going to bring up the Westboro Baptist Church, They're always, because that's what they're there for. To say that's what Christians are like, So how can you say, well, the Bible says this and that and not be associated with the Westboro Baptist Church? 1960s, that's when it became a thing, because it was still considered illegal. Still is considered something that people would be blackmailed for. So it had to change. So change it did. Homosexuality, they call it not lustful, but romantic. And, I guess there's a few that stay married for a long, long time, but that's not the normal thing. It's not the biblical thing. Heterosexuality is the good thing. These, it says, are one of the three main categories. I mean, I don't know. What are some other ones? Still get confused about getting thrown off there by whether I was looking at homosexuality or heterosexuality at first, but we know what the Bible teaches, and this looks like the way to go. That would be nice, right? Something about cisgendering. They want you to believe in that. They want you to think this is just an option. And unless your eyes are open to the Bible truth, then you'll probably believing that. Morality and evolution. How do they deal with morality and evolution? Modern morality is a process closely tied to sociocultural evolution. Some evolutionary biologists, some, particularly sociobiologists, no footnotes, believe that morality is a product of evolution, of the Big Bang, acting at an individual level, your mini Big Bang, and also at the group level through group selection. Controversial topics, they are not afraid to jump right in them. So something about maternal bond is moral. Taboos against incest, yeah. Okay, what else we got, So they study morals, famous people. Empathy's involved in it. I hurt my knee. That hurts. Moral identity theorist, psychoanalyst, there's Sigmund Freud, looking at aspects of the super ego, guilt, shame, avoidance. Sigmund Freud, why do you want to rape your mother all the time? Huh? What? Yeah, that's what they talk about. It's crazy. Moral emotion and moral reasoning tasks suggesting a shared neural network. So they had to get to the bottom of this. They had to fit it in with what they're going to teach because they are not really Bible believers, no matter how much they want to act like it. Look at that, transcranial magnetic stimulation. Who was doing that? Non-invasive genetics, politics, positions, divorce, remarriage, STDs. Welcome to the future. They used to call it, we only want to enforce virtue. And it's moral. It's for the good of humanity that they're going to force virtue. Enforce it, like ruled with a rod of iron. Borrowed from an older time, they say. Who doesn't want truth, balance, order, law, morality, and justice? They did in Egypt. They did in Rome. Platonic virtue, wisdom, courage, moderation, and justice. And Gay sex. Did they leave that out? I know they were into it. Piety. Okay. So there's a list of morals and virtues that can be enforced. There were also intellectual verses, you know. Okay. Intellectual virtues, knowledge, art, practical judgment, intuition. Okay, that's up to it. There's a lot of them. Frugality, you can't tell that to the politicians. Prudence, uh-oh. Self-control, what? To gravitas? We've heard that word before. Now, value in ethics, the degree of importance. How do you prioritize your values, that broad spectrum concerning appropriate courses of actions and outcomes? You know, what ought to be equal rights for all. Well, you know, kinda, maybe, but not always. Work harder, get a better job, get promoted, then you can move out of the shelter into the city. Social value is a concept used in the public sector and in philanthropic context because they've got you in a social net. How fast do you type? Remember when you were proud of that? Did you sign a code of conduct when you come to Wikipedia? Or when you went, and signed up for some home rules for employees only? Do you have to be careful with that? Do you have a personal code of conduct? The Romans highly suggested that you should do that. So did the Japanese personal codes. Where are you going to develop that higher internal locus of control, defined as the belief that one can influence outcome through their own actions? They're generally more resilient and motivated in the face of adversaries and adversity. You learned helplessness. Boy, we don't want that. Nobody wants that. You have a personal code of mores, morals, social norms? Huh? Social, okay, so one picture, mores, and all you get is one thing, prohibitions, lying, cheating, causing harm, getting drunk, drug use, marriage beliefs, gossip, slander, jealousy, disgracing and disrespecting parents, refusal to attend a funeral, politically incorrect humor, sports cheating and betting, vandalism, littering, you litter bugs, plagiarism. There's a lot of things that, should go without saying. Those are wrong. These could probably, be argued about some, but the Bible is a good place to look for mores, and there is a truth written on your heart or not. Now, descriptive ethics, another one without a lot of footnotes. There's a couple and deep into it. Say they have a form of empirical research that want to go, what do people think is right? Well, they used to believe the Bible until they started getting other ideas. Normativity is a phenomenon in human societies? No, I think they're designating some actions or outcome as good, desirable, and permissible because they are. It says a norm in this sense means a standard for evaluating gay marriages and letting, drag queens read books to preschoolers at your public libraries. You're going to make judgments about behavior, or you are not. Depending on what you accept as normal, you will fit in. You will be in a social cog. Academic disciplines, they'll teach you how to do it. Philosophy, they'll make you think, is there really a right or wrong? Aren't they all just theories and beliefs and prepositions? Positive statements are purportedly factual empirical statements that attempt to describe reality. Yeah, I'll bet you they are. They are going to mold their emotions, train their thoughts, kill belief in what's good, and their actions are going to be receiving dopamine from liking things on the social networks. These guys haven't planned. Their norms are their norms. Their ethics are their ethics. Meta ethics, metaphysics of moral facts. Applied ethics, in that normative ethics, is more concerned with who ought one be rather than the ethic of a specific issue, or not if, when abortion is acceptable. Oh, it does say if or when. Normative, moral realism, Kantianism, utilitarianism, classical theories from the Renaissance. These guys, they're the people from around the 300s, like Augustine, that, well, we've got the Bible all figured out, and you can argue about all of these people that believe in the Trinity. They don't care as long as you pick one of them. Otherwise, you're one of those people that have been veil of ignorance has been cast upon you, doubting these people, these geniuses from the Enlightenment, the father of liberalism, Francis Bacon, John Dee. You've been studied, you've been planned, you've been made normal. Meta ethics, another one with very few references, footnotes, but it's an applied ethics. Questions of what should I do? Not what should I be? Was that the other one? What is the nature of goodness? How do we know what we know? Another version of epistemology. How do we argue in the metaphysical account of morals? What can we twist their words? What's the meaning of it? Moral semantics. What really is good, bad, right, or wrong? For everyone, negative? They're the bad people, and they're trying to kill you. They want you to believe that they know what is a social norm, and they're forcing it down your throat. That shared social belief about behavior. Who should, right now, if you're a Bible believer, you don't have a chance in politics and other things. I mean, unless you're going to be a setup like for a Zionist, like for Israel. Those are the only ones that can say, I just believe the Bible because of the proof that in 1948 Israel became a state again. Thanks, you guys, and all of that Lawrence of Arabia shenanigans going on over there. Let's see what else we got. The first notable attempt to explore links between evolution and ethics was made by the man Darwin himself. Tried to say, look, you got to have a refined moral sense. You have to understand that you didn't decide to be the top monkey, you just were. So their one drop is enough to keep them down for eternity. That's what they wanted, and that's what they're working towards again. Ethical questions and the study of morality, or concepts of justice and right and wrong, derives solely from the existence of conflict of interests? Thanks, Bob or Dick? Probably Dick. Freud, parent offspring conflict. Maybe kids were being taught we don't want to be told what's right or wrong anymore, man. Social Darwinism, there really is that situation. We got the peace thing, voluntary, independent political organization. I wonder if nowadays these modern ones are still involving and working out, but they are trying to teach the youth. It is that international Falcon movement. So they must be taking over for that other group of people that wanted to work out like Boy Scouts. This seems like Boy Scouts. They do to me. So we'll look here again. Gave them authority over the unclean spirits. Jesus spoke as one having authority. I might save that thing on Jude for tomorrow. Angels and authorities, because it's going to take a while to convince you guys and show you that when they're talking about angels and the angels in Jude, they're talking about people. Because there are examples in the Bible, in the Old and New Testament. Some of you have entertained angels unaware. And it's in the New Testament, and they reference the Old Testament. Rahab the harlot entertained angels. Well, Joshua sent those spies into the land. So we're going to look at that. We'll be hitting, how popular John the Baptist was and why and what he taught. We're going to be looking. Now, here is that. Did Catherine de' Medici really poison all these people? A lot of people think that she did it with gloves. I did not know that gloves used to be treated with manure. They were soft and beautiful, but they stunk like poo. So, isn't that crazy? Gloves were then dipped in fragrant liquid to keep the poo smell off of them. Yucks. They left it with a smooth finish, but a rancid odor. Yikes. Poop. So they cleared her of all wrongdoing and said, the trend of perfumed gloves continues to this day. Perhaps we owe thanks to her. To her? The girl who did the St. Bartholomew's Day massacre? Poisoned all the people and is like in the Fox Book of Martyrs. She's the one that was burning them alive and sewing their lips shut because she didn't want to hear them screaming so much.
After generation of French monarchy was the seat of power for Catherine de' Medici, where she kept her array of cabinets filled with poisons and deadly toxins. Historians have described one of the rooms as her private apothecary, complete with a cabinet of horrors. Anyone who she took a dislike to, or who threatened her and her family's legacy, or simply common people who did not seem to like her ambition, death by poisoning seemed the way to go. There were numerous rumors and speculations surrounding her activities as a poisoner, but there is one incident that stands out and that tied her name with poison. This incident.
She poisoned her arch rival. This is just talking about the many different cruel things that she could do.
Own personal mistresses. Sometimes these were women who chose to keep the king company, and other times the king just took anyone he fancied for the night. King Henry crown on her son's head. Persecution of the Huguenots had begun well before Catherine's time. She made attempts at reconciliation with the Edict of Amboise in 1563, which legalized Protestant worship. This may have ended the First Religious War, but did not last. She also arranged for the marriage of her daughter Marguerite de Valois to Huguenot Henry of Navarre, who would later become King Henry IV. The crisis point in the civil wars over religion came in 1572.
They were ruled with a rod of iron and they had to fake. Now, this is when they say, we don't know if she did it or not. She could have, but she might have been tricked. But the definite, wealthiest and prominent, those Huguenots, it was like that bloody wedding thing. She used them as human torches. She used them as human torches. I'd say even that's low. It was a Roman Catholic thing. It's documented. They did it. They know the people that died. And yet now, Protestants, Catholics, they need to all get along or they're not ecumenical. As long as they believe in the Trinity, that's what it's all about for them.
She justified the massacre as necessary to save the crown, showing no remorse. For Europe's Protestants, she became the Serpent of Italy, a symbol of Machiavellian evil. The massacre shattered hopes for religious reconciliation and plunged France into deeper chaos. Catherine was not a sadist, but a pragmatist, her morality always subordinate to dynastic survival.
You know who else was bad? This girl.
Ambition. Her marriage to Ferdinand united Christian kingdoms, setting the stage for the Reconquista's final act. Isabella led from the front, inspiring her troops as Granada fell in 1492, ending centuries of Muslim rule. But victory brought tragedy to Spain's Jews and Muslims. The Alhambra decree forced Jews to convert or flee, shattering a community that had flourished for centuries. Those who stayed faced
She's the one. It's Queen Jezebella that sent those people out looking for the gold, man.
Blind to the suffering it caused. Her policies created a climate of fear and intolerance that would haunt Spain for generations. Yet she was also a visionary, patron of Columbus, architect of a unified nation. Isabella's legacy is a contradiction nation builder and religious fanatic.
Wow.
Without being censored. At 14, I trusted the adults who were supposed to protect me. Instead, they sold me a dream that turned out to be a nightmare. That's not healthcare, it's blatant consumer fraud. I want to thank the FTC and those in the audience again for giving people like me a seat at the table. Please hold these providers and pharmaceutical companies to the same standards as any other industry. Enough to choose to have healthy parts of my body electively amputated. I was sold a product, medical transition, by professionals and institutions who told me that it would fix my distress and save my life. I was told that if I didn't do this, I would probably end up dead. But here's what they didn't tell me. They didn't tell me that taking cross-sex hormones and undergoing major surgery at 14 years old could leave me with pelvic floor dysfunction and urinary incontinence, problems I have to manage now as a young adult. I'm only 20 years old. They didn't tell me that these complications are common enough to be known risks, and yet they were hidden from me at an age where I didn't even understand what these terms meant, let alone the impact they would have on my daily life. And it doesn't stop there. When I tried to warn others by leaving honest reviews on my surgeon's websites, describing my regret, the complications, the lack of real informed consent, my reviews were deleted. Think about that. A surgeon permanently altered my healthy body when I was a middle school student, and then erased my negative feedback to protect his reputation.
I think we're going to wrap it up and save that Bible study for the morning, because this is powerful enough. Your norms have been changed. This used to be normal. This was on the TV.
Yeah, buddy, that's his own affair. The little faggot got his own jet airplane. The little faggot, he's a millionaire. We got to install.
So on this Labor Day, tomorrow, you're going to be working? No, they gave you a day off, didn't they? But you know it's not going to last. They're coming for you. It all started with the jab. They're changing things. I had, I disclaimed it. I'm not a doctor, but these blood clots and things, it's only going to get worse. The Bible doesn't say we're going to make anything great again. It says we're going to be continuously surrounded like that frog in the water thing, because the mud flood was Armageddon. They added 1,000 years. Now it's the orphan trained brain. And recent members of our family were oblivious or in on it because they didn't get lobotomized, institutionalized, or sterilized. We went through it, but God opened our eyes. Now we have to live up to that responsibility, because once we're saved by grace, we're going to be judged by, did we live up to the talents he gave us? Amen. Hallelujah. Aho. Aloha. Arrivederci. Ciao. Sayonara. Auf Wiedersehen. Knock me. Adios, amigos. That